Okay, we're continuing our look at March of the Machine new cards today with Ancient Imperiosaur. This is one of the other top-end creatures that this new set is providing us with, and this is one heck of a card here. So it's 7 mana to begin with for a 6/6. But the big thing about this card is that it has Convoke, and we'll get back to that later. It also has Trample and Ward 2 if that wasn't enough, and it enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it for each creature that convoked it. So if you need a refresher on Convoke, Convoke means that you can tap creatures and pay either generic mana or their mana type for a mana cost. So it's technically possible for your Imperiosaur to be convoked by 7 creatures, which would make this thing a 20/20. I have been able to do that once playing this deck, and it felt really, really cool. So basically, as you might be able to check by just perusing this deck, the whole goal here is to try to get out a big Imperiosaur and use that as our way to get through. Because it's got Ward 2, it's hard to interact with, and because we're going to be casting it really early, it's going to put additional restraints on our opponent for their answers. Ward 2 is going to be pretty good. Also, the trample, if this thing gets really big, the trample means that we will not be blocked by a bunch of tiny little elf creatures, so that is good for us as well. And the other thing is this deck is going to try to create a bunch of small creatures in order to get us to this Convoke price as early as possible. So we'll generally see an Imperiosaur around turn 4 or so. That's generally when you see them. This is a pretty cool deck. Let's talk about how we're going to get the Imperiosaur out. So if we need creatures in order to Convoke this thing, how are we going to do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. One is the 4 copies of Gleeful Demolition. This is probably the best card in this deck. This is a 1-mana destroy target artifact, so it is both a removal spell. But the second half of this card says that if you control the artifact, you make 3 1/1s. So 1 mana, create 3 power. That feels pretty good. Also, that convokes for 3 of our 7 mana, which means that we only need 4 mana. So just Gleeful Demolition gets us to an Imperiosaur on turn 4. Another thing that we can do is we can get Chatterstorm out. We play a bunch of 0 and 1-drop things in order to get that. And this will create both creatures, but more specifically, they're going to be green creatures, so they can pay the green mana cost for the green pips in the Convoke cost. And the artifacts that we're using are kind of relevant as well. Vordarin Epicure is both a body and creates a blood token, which we can then sack to Gleeful Demolition. That play pattern just feels amazing. There's also Ornithopters and Tormod's Crypts. You can convoke the Ornithopter. Tormod's Crypt can be destroyed with Gleeful Demolition, and it's a graveyard hate piece. And then Chromatic Sphere and Chromatic Star are both really good. Chromatic Sphere, you can either sack it to Gleeful Demolition or use its ability to draw a card, and sometimes you just need to do that. Chromatic Star is even better. It's slightly better because of the way this card is worded. Generally, you see these 2 cards played as just an 8 times effective, like 1 card. But the thing that actually makes this different is Chromatic Star's draw card is not part of the activated ability. So if you sack it, or rather destroy it with Gleeful Demolition, you get actually a draw trigger off of this, which is even better. And then the last card that we haven't talked about, well, actually, there's the one of Thud. This is just kind of a meme. In case we have an Imperiosaur that's the 20/20, you can just whack our opponent with Thud and kill him in 1 shot. And then, yeah, so the final card that we haven't talked about yet is Perilous Iteration. This is essentially 4 more copies of our Ancient Imperiosaur, or it is just a random other card out of our deck, helps build Storm, etc. So, yeah, because we don't have anything that is 3 or greater, except for Imperiosaur. That means Perilous Iteration finds it every time, which is cool. So, what does an ideal hand for this deck look like? Well, generally we'll want to have a Gleeful Demolition, or some amount of... We'll need to have a hand that can generate enough Storm that can Chatterstorm out us a bunch of creatures. That is going to be our route to the 20/20. But if we're looking for just a general 16/16, which would be using 3 creatures to convoke Imperiosaur. Oh, sorry, wait, no, that's not 3. That would be 5. Yeah, 5 gets us a 16/16. Having a Voldarin Ornithopter, and then generally it's Gleeful Demolition that gets us to the to the more consistent large creature. So we'll be looking for these in our opening hands or a way to find them. Mana base is just Gruul, since we are in Gruul. And I don't think there's too much more to talk about here. We are just going to play the biggest Imperiosaur we can. So let's hop into some games quickly before we do that. If you would like to support the channel, drop a like and subscribe. Helps me out a bunch. With that, let's get in there. Okay, round one. Here we go. See if we get a good hand. Perilous Iteration got the Imperiosaur now. We don't really have a way to make creatures, so this is not amazing. I mean, we do have Sokins on, but the 2 Fabled Passages is not super awesome. I think I'll mull this one. We can have better. This is pretty good. We can use Chromatic Sphere to filter into a Voldaren Epicure, and then maybe get into a Chatterstorm based off of that. So we can try it. Let's try it. We'll drop a 3rd land, and we'll just get in here with the Chromatic Sphere. So we're going to need, I think, 5 mana in order to Chatterstorm a whole hand out. So we just kind of need to wait here and let our opponent do their thing. We'll also incidentally draw a little bit off of the Chromatic Spheres, so that can help us with our storm as well. But the main goal here is to try to Chatterstorm out as many little creatures as possible. I'm hoping that one of these draws will end up being one of our artifact killing spells, because Voldaren Epicure will also allow us to make one of those. So this is probably veto combo. It could be clerics, it could be vampires, it could be a lot of stuff. I will go ahead and just chill here. And we do get the Gleeful Demolition here. So what does our game plan look like? We have 4 mana. We can Chromatic Sphere, filter into red, Voldaren Epicure, Gleeful Demolition, and Chatterstorm. I think I like the idea of that. So let's filter into our red first. Chromatic Star, not what I was hoping for. Here's Voldaren Epicure. Get a Gleeful Demolition. Cool, we got 4 creatures, and now we have a lot of creatures. Alright, so if we can just draw into our big creature, we can cast them now. And we just gotta see if our opponent's gonna combo us out on turn 5 or not. Champions of Tier. Get a boon, sure. Okay, Fabled Passage, we'll just use this to thin, and then probably just draw off of our Chromatic Star and Sphere. We probably would like to try to go off this turn if possible, so we'll just cast both of these out. I'm going to go ahead and use, and so like we talked about, Chromatic Star is the better card to have around for Gleeful Demolition, so I will just make a red off of Sphere first. We find a land, might as well just make another red, try again. And we got it, let's go. So I want to make sure that the way that I pay for this is going to be through tapping all of my creatures. And wow. That's a 2020 Imperiosaur right there. We have lethal next turn unless our opponent kills us, but they don't have anything with lifelink now. Now the word 2 is payable by them if they have like a murder or something like that. But yeah, we really did the thing. This is the max size Imperiosaur that you can get without adding additional counters. Flying, Afterlife, okay. So they'll need to block the Imperiosaur with at least 1 creature. I think I probably just swing in completely right now. We have, if they need to block 1 on Imperiosaur, we have 2 other blockers, which means 5 attackers, and they're most likely dead here. We'll use the Fabled Passage, and we'll just swing in. They gain 4, so it's as if they're blocking 7 damage with Seraph. They'll at least be very low. I couldn't be bothered to do the exact math, as we know damage is for blockers. Or combat math is for blockers. Cool. So all we need to do is deal 1 more damage to them through whatever means possible. So they'll have to kill the Imperiosaur or combo me out this turn. Let's see if they've got it. Sanguine Blood. Is it you? They're taking a while to play it out, so I imagine they don't have it. So they're looking for an alternate route to victory. They can try to gain a bunch of life. And that might be the only thing that they can do. They'll need to produce a blocker, but even something with Death Touch is not going to be a problem. Okay, double strike. They can gain 8 here. Don't think that's enough, though. Okay, they can give it Vigilance, sure. So that's essentially giving them 12 life. Now, I'm actually almost dead. Am I fully dead? I am dead. Oh, wow, they got me. I actually didn't see that angle with Seraph of the Scales. That's pretty cool. So they didn't have the combo that I was thinking of, but Blade Historian actually got through with Seraph of the Scales. So that was kind of just a life drain kind of archetype. Curious to see what else they were doing. This was... Is there a common theme? Is this... Not really any theme that I'm seeing here. I think it's just Orzhov mid-range? I don't know. Hard to tell. If you've seen this deck before, let me know what it is so I can play it. So that was round 1. Let's move on to round 2. Hopefully we can get another 2020 and win with it this time. Here we go. Alright, round 2. This has double Imperiosaur, and it does have Gleeful and Chatterstorm. It's pretty good. So if I save up my mana, if I get 1 more untapped mana source, I can Chromatic Star. Well, I'll have to play Chromatic Star out first. Then it'll be Gleeful into Chatterstorm, and that'll just be pretty solid. That'll give me a turn 4 Imperiosaur. I can use the spheres in order to get some more looks at lands and or cards. Seed of Hope. Okay, interesting. So we're looking at some sort of teamer deck. I'm gonna hope that I can find a land out of my next turn that involves destroying these. Invasion of Ixalan, sure. That means that there are creatures coming, probably. I'll find land. I will keep these. It's debatable if I really wanted to keep those or not. So let's go ahead and do this one. We're going to make a red. Got Thud. That's something. Destroy Chromatic Star. Come on, we need to land. That is actually not it. That's a bummer. Okay, so didn't get it this turn. Cannot cast our Chatterstorm, but we'll have Tormod's Crypt to help us get there. That's a bummer. Good thing is Chatterstorm is still just 2 mana make a 1/1, so like we can still slowly make our way there. We essentially have 5 mana with Convoke right here, so drawing an untapped land gets us very close. And actually drawing a... Oh, I was about to say drawing another Gleeful Demolition would get me there, but that's not true. I would still be down on 1 green mana. So the ideal draw here is some sort of mana, still. Another Invasion of Ixalan. Do they plan to play creatures, or is this for something else? So, Perilous Iteration. Can this find me a land? I hope that it does. We're going to get another Imperiosaur. That was not really the move. Next turn... I don't really know what I'm doing next turn. Think I will get rid of the redundant Imperiosaur. That will show my opponent what I'm doing, but we still have 2 in hand, so it's gonna have to be how it is. Opponents played the 3rd invasion of Ixalan. Rape. Ooh. Oh, is this invasion of a Lara Storm? It couldn't be. Okay, this is okay. Well, I got my land at least. This means I can Voldaren, Epicure, and Shatterstorm, make a couple more creatures. That's a start. And let's go ahead and put out a Tormod's Crypt and a Shatterstorm. So now we have the Crypt to deal with any Mizzix's Mastery shenanigans. And we're going to have 2 Imperiosaurs for our next couple of turns. Alright. Wow, a lot of bounce spells. Okay. Well, now we're off of the Imperiosaur for a little bit. I'd like to hold up... Ooh, interesting. Chamber Sentry. There are some combos with this card. You don't see them often, though. Alright, move to our turn. The land does it, so we can cast an Imperiosaur. 12/12. And if this can deal damage, we can thud them next turn. I'm glad they used their Fading Hopes last turn. Now we're in the driver's seat. What did I say? Stone Coil and that, okay. Oracle. Sure. So this is an Oracle combo instead. Okay, this is an interesting deck. So this is using Invasion of Ixalan. I'm not sure I like the inclusion of Invasion, but that sure is interesting. So the opponent may have some sort of bounce spell. We'll have to allocate 1 mana for Thud. But otherwise this Imperiosaur can just go in. So depending on how they block here, or if they just take the damage... Oh, they'll go to 3? Well then that's good. So I can put them to 2 with Voldaren Epicure. I can play another Imperiosaur. I'd like to just try to kill them now, though. Let's just go ahead and thud them with this. I forgot that because Imperiosaur has Ward, they can't fizzle this. So this needs to be some sort of counterspell, and it is not. Cool. We thudded him. That was that's one thing off of the bucket list for this deck in ways to win. Okay, so that was our round 2. Let's move on to round 3. Here we go. Okay, round 3. This is a pretty good hand. We're going to be able to find backup Imperiosaur with Iteration. But actually, now that I think about it, I have no way to make the creatures to Convoke, so I'm going to mulligan this one. We have a crazy hand here. I'm not sure I can take this. I think I should not. I'm going to go to 5. This is far better. I will get rid of a land and a Chromatic Sphere. Okay, so we'll get red. And then we can Gleeful Demolition on turn 2. There's not really any rush to Gleeful Demolition. Because this is Chromatic Sphere and not the other one, I don't feel super good about demolitioning now. But at least play it. Then we'll pass. I feel like I'll eventually draw into a artifact. Grim Flayer. Okay. Don't really know what to think about this card. This is Abzan colors. I am going to just see if I can create a bigger creature than they can. So that will involve me actually playing Gleeful Demolition this turn. Yeah, seems like the smart move to do. So now 1 mana source and we have an Imperiosaur coming down. It actually has to be green, now that I actually take a look at my colors. There's a chance we're going to get stuck here, but let's see. Opponent goes in. We are going to just take that. Yep, so they do get to do their surveil, so let's see what comes out of here. This is going to determine if it is just aggro or if this is some sort of reanimator type of effect. They choose to keep all three. Wow. Okay, wow, we top decked literally the exact thing we needed. That's huge. And so is this Imperiosaur. 12-12, coming in. Alright, we got him in. It's now a 2-turn clock for our opponent, with a second Imperiosaur coming down. They can blow up the board. They can use targeted removal on it, sure. Board 2. Sweet. We will be allowed to get a land, which is nice. Let's take action, and I think we'll just find green. So the trophies will answer me, but the hope is that we are going to be able to kill them first before they can find them. Okay, fabled passage. I'm going to play that out. 1, 2, 3. Another 12-12, see if they can deal with it. I'll do my fetch now, just because, and we'll find red. Pass to our opponent's turn. We'll see if they have the second Assassin's Trophy. This is also a Liliana of the Veil deck. She is not super good. Wow, they did have double Assassin's Trophy. Alright. Well, we have 2 more chances here. We'll just start to thin our deck. They decide to go in. Now, if I'm them, I'm going to be surveilling single target removal that is cheap to the top. Okay, so they kept 2 things. That is not what we like to see. There's a chance that we can go over the top. Our opponent has the clock here. Ooh, Elish Norn. That's not good. So this is mid-range. Yeah, this is just a mid-range kind of thing. Siege Rhino, kind of a non-standard card, but this is cool. More Elish Norn, more Liliana. We can push 2 damage here. We can Chatterstorm. Doesn't really matter the order I do this in. We're going to go to 2 here. Alright, so we're going to have to block Elish Norn. And we're going to need a really good top deck. Actually, we're just dead. Okay, I didn't think our chances were that high other than that anyway. Okay, so that was our round 3, I think? Yeah, round 3. We have 2 more to go. Let's move on. Alright, round 4. Let's see what we can do here. Double Perilous Iteration. Don't really like having this card unless I am set up to play the Imperiosaur, so I'm going to mulligan this one. Chatterstorm. This is also not very good, but if I wait till turn 3, it's something. I will keep the 6. I don't want to go that low. I want to keep Sokens on around, so I'll just take the basic and put it away. Let's begin with Mountain. On turn 3, we can Chatterstorm. That fixes any sort of green requirement we could have had. Yeah, if we do this on turn 3, then we're set up for turn 4 Imperiosaur, because we'll have 3 creatures. And we'll have our 4th land out. They play Grazer. This is a Gigantha deck. Oh no, this is just Gates. Okay. So we'll play our turn 3 play, and we'll just kind of go in. Oops, did not mean to chat. Let's get Chatterstorm out here. Make our 2 green creatures. Alright, so we have a 12-12 on turn 4 coming up. And we can maybe think about sacrificing our Fabled Passage, or rather discarding it to get a card out of the blood token. Opponent's just going to go ahead and ramp. Thankfully, the Imperiosaur is going to be out of the range of Gates Ablaze, which is generally what is feeling pretty bad about this deck. I'd rather play it like this, where I get too thin my deck. Since I have 2 red things in hand, I'm going to get another green. Cast this guy. Auto pay includes all 3 of those. Cool. Alright, we got our 12-12. They can have Gates Ablaze. I'm not going to be sad about it. If they had 2 of them, then I would be sad, but kind of doubting. Now, I'm not sure this deck plays a lot of single target removal, which means that Imperiosaur is going to be able to get in. They'll maybe play Hydroid Krasis, or they will just scoop. I guess we'll take that. If I think about what's in their deck, they play the Gate Colossuses, which is an 8/8. They have the Rams, which are, I mean, now a 7/7, so not amazing. Yeah, I think we kind of had that one just from the stance of attacking with this one creature over and over. Okay, well, we at least were able to see the alternate route to getting a 12/12. Generally, this deck just needs to create 3 creatures through whatever means possible, so the 1-Storm Chatterstorm can do it, and their Gleeful Destruction, or whatever it's called, is another way to get 3 creatures out. Okay, so that was our round 4. We got 1 more to go. Let's see if we can end strong. Alright, I've executed into round 5, and we have pretty good hand, actually. This is really good. So on 3 mana, we get to Chatterstorm and Epicure. We'll be getting a slightly bigger potential Imperiosaur out of this, because this represents 4 creatures. We see a Llanowar Elf. I will pretend that I'm just green. So yeah, it's going to be 4 creatures, Perilous Iteration, Voldaren Epicure, and then the following turn play. Adventurous Impulse. Okay, we'll get this out. Am I doing this now, or am I going to wait a turn? I want to do it now. First Epicure. Get a Chatterstorm out. Opponent might just be on some sort of ramp plan. So if we top deck the Imperiosaur now, we feel really good about that. That gets to be played next turn. Otherwise, it's going to be Epicure, Perilous, and set up for a big one. Okay, Augmenter Pugilist. This is not a card you see very much. This is the one that on the other side is just a copy, right? Yeah, okay. So this is definitely some sort of combo. We get to go to my turn, and so what we get? We get a Chromatic Star. So I will begin with Perilous Iteration. I could thin with Fabled Passage, but our chance of hitting a non-land is pretty high. And I wouldn't even be mad if I got a land. So there is Chromatic Sphere, Chromatic Star, and Imperiosaur. Get a Sphere. We're going to want to crack first. We have to crack first anyway. Find a red mana here. Then we can Sphere into Star, or we can Sphere into Epicure. Epicure gives us a bigger Imperiosaur, though, so I will do it in such a way where I can maybe draw an Ornithopter? No. Alright, opponent's at 18. We're making a 16-16 on next turn. Settle the Wilds. Opponent gets to look for a 6 CMC spell. Another Pugilist. Pugilist. I think they swing in here and I don't block. Oh, they just give it back to me. Gorge comes in tapped. We have to play the Imperiosaur that's going to go away. Always got to make sure to not take the auto tap or the auto payment option. And we have another Imperiosaur next turn. I'll think about chromatic starring on their end step. Okay, so is this copy Vorinclex's? I think it is, and then it's just make a bunch of counters. Alright. I'm not scared of a Vorinclex right now. Do I draw a card? I think I should draw a card. We can even filter that card into something else if we'd like to, but we find another Imperiosaur, so I'm really cool with that. Let's go ahead and pay to make another, well actually, hold on. Let's pump the brakes there. Let's move to combat and swing in, see if they would like to block with Vorinclex. My guess is that they don't want to. Kind of a weird move since the thing does have trample. Put him to 5. Now I'm going to make another one. And I don't really need to play my mountain, so what I can do is, oh yeah, that's right, their Vorinclex halves my Imperiosaurs, so it's only an 11/11. I can shuffle away my mountain for another card if I want to. Okay, Nissa. Sure. That -7 though. Okay. Now I see what's going on. I'm still not dead. So they're gonna minus her and go in. That puts 12, 18 power on the board. Yeah, that makes sense.
Our strength multiplies.
Yeah, that Nissa creating these XXs, that is just crazy. Okay, so let's go ahead and crack on in here. So they have enough damage. Oh wait, they're dead if I attack with everything. What am I saying? Silly. Yeah, so they can kill Imperiosaur. Yep, makes sense. And yeah, they're just immediately, or they're just barely dead, aren't they? Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. I actually almost missed that and attacked a different way. Alright, so we were able to take round 5 on a win with our combo Imperiosaur deck. Hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of a silly one. It's surprisingly good. It's very resilient. There are multiple ways to getting your Imperiosaur out. And once you do get it out, the word 2 is actually pretty relevant against a lot of these decks. You saw the one Orzhov deck, or I think it was playing black-white. You saw that one have to spend their entire turn to deal with the Imperiosaur, and then we could just play multiple after the fact. So that is just kind of a testament to how strong this deck is. I think it's pretty good, but it's not ranked letter worthy. But, you know, what is? There's only a few things that are. At any rate, this was a pretty fun one, and I am happy that you guys got to watch and see it. So if you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Those are the things that help me keep going. And I will see you in the next one. Enjoy.